This is Gemara Menachos Daf Lamed Test. And we like all the learning to be a zechus for Torah anytime. In the middle of their incredible campaign right now, Siyata Dishmaya, the incredible Kayach HaTorah that is generated through Torah anytime is wild. And hopefully our learning as a Chabura, especially those learning on Torah anytime, should bring more and more of the donations in, allow them to have their necessary funds. Whoever didn't partner, please think about giving a few dollars. They're the wild numbers, wild numbers, even personally wild numbers, the amount of viewers and views. So if everyone just gave a little bit quickly, we'd be able to support and fund the necessary so the Torah could continue. We pick it up in the top line of Lamites Amud Aleph. We're middle of a discussion of tzitzis. Ve'omar Rabba Shma Mina Kesher Elyoin De'oraisa. Says Rabba, we're going to learn that the top knot of the tzitzis is a din De'oraisa. Tisal Gedei Del Derabanan, because if you're going to tell me it's only Derabanan, my Yitzrech Lemishrei Sadin B'tzitzis. If it's only going to be a Derabanan, then why do we need a pasuk to allow you to put tzitzis on a linen garment? Pshita. It's so why would you need a pasuk to allow you? So Elamai says the Gemara, it's deraisa. Frike the Gemara, what do you mean? Pshita, of course it's deraisa. Hatogiv tekiva achas inay chibur. Of course it's a deraisa. If you stitch one stitch, it's not considered attached. And therefore, what would you need the pasuk for? It's pashit. Elishma mina deraisa. Rather, we must say that it's a din deraisa. Therefore, even with deraisa, there's no way. Meaning, once there's a din of shanis, and once is then you have to make a knot. By making tkivachas is not going to suffice. So must be, what do you have to do? You have to make a full-blown knot. If you have to make a full-blown knot, the only way to be able to make a full-blown knot is if the requirement to make that knot is a din deraisa. As Rashi articulates, the nafkamina is going to be that even if you're able to wind it around without a knot, and it's going to stay, it's still going to be puzzle. There's a requirement to make the actual knot. Continues the Gemara, Amar Rabba bar Ravada, Amar Ravada Marav, Im nifsegachot beikarai, psula. If a string ripped at the base, then the tzitzis is puzzle. If it ripped where it's attached to the garment, then the entire tzitzis is puzzle. Says the Gemara, Yasser Nachman, V'kamer Lashmaitza. He was saying over this thing. Eisvei Rav Nachman, V'amed Dvar Mamurim, Betchilasai. When is this? Only the beginning. Only when it's created, when you put the tzitzis into the garment. Aval Saifai. However, at the end, if it's already made and then it rips off, Shiura Vigarduma of Kolshu, then what says Rav Nachman, the remnants and the severed parts could be even a kolshu. Says the Gemara, my shiurav, my gardumov. My love, we think shiurav is difsik minayu, vishtayer minayu. Gardumov is dargum gardumi. It sounds like one of these two elements. So even if it got ripped off, or even if they were actually cut off entirely, lamaisa, once it was made bikashros, sounds like it's going to be kosher. So why are we saying that if it was ripped off meikara, it's a problem? Responds the Gemara, loy, chadakatani. The price is all one case. Shiurav gardumav kolshu. It means the remnants may be of any measure. However, that means there has to be a remnant. But if it's going to be cut all the way down, it will not be kosher. Says the Gemara, Valema Gardumov. If that's the case, just say Gardumov, meaning completely cut off. Shiura of Lumley, what do you need that word for? Hakamashlan demi'inan shiura le Gardumov. You know what it shows us? Shows us you need enough of a remnant kedei la'anva in order to tie a bow. That the amount of tzitzis you need to have at the bottom is enough to tie a slip knot into the garment similar to halacha that we've seen yesterday, but that's going to be if it rips towards the bottom. Yosef Rabba v'kamer shmei Rav chot shel kerech oila min haminyan. The string that goes around the other strings, we'll call that the shamish. The string that makes the spins around, that's part of the minyan number of required tzitzis. Amr Rav Yosef Shmuel. Amr Rav Yosef Shmuel Amra v'lei Rav Shmuel, it wasn't Rav. It's Ranami Amr Rav Chana Sochli Rebbe Yeshaya de Min Usha Chashal Karach Eloi Min Minyan, the same exact halacha. So says the Gemara. Let's go on to the next halacha. Yosef Rav Gamar Shuin de Shmuel Tcheles Shekarach Ruba Sheira Tcheles, that the majority of it was braided, it's kosher. Amrli Rav Yosef, Rav Amar v'lo Shmuel, Nachamal. As similar to the previous exchange, we have a debate exactly who says this. Says the Gemara wasn't Shmuel, it was Rav. It's Manami. Similarly, we learned Amar Rav Huna by Rehuda, Amar Rav Sheshes, Amar Rav Yirmi Rav Amar Rav Tchila Shekarach Ruba Ksheira. If the majority is wrapped around, it's going to be kosher. Rav Chia Breder Rav Nasan Masliach, he learned a little bit more deeper. Amar Rav Huna Amar Rav Sheshes, Amar Rav Yirmi Amar Rav Amar Rav Tchilas Shekarach Ruba Ksheira. Va'afilu, and this is actually detail that we're getting. What is this din of Tchilas Shekarach Ruba? Says the Gemara. Ve'afilu, and even lo yikarach ba ela chol yachas. And even if, I'm sorry, our highlighter is having issues. Here it is. Ve'afilu lo yikarach ba chol yachas. And even if one braided only a single link in the tcheles, ksheira. V'noi tcheles shlish gidil u'shnei shlishi enaf. And the noy of tcheles, you want to know the proper way. You want to know the right way to make tcheles. It's a shlish of the gedil, which is shnei shlishi of the anaf, a shlish of the braided part, which is 2/3 of the entire item. Kama shura chulya. How much would be the knots? Tani Rabbi Yomer kadesh yikrach v'yishne v'yishlesh. You should go around once, twice, and a third time. Once it's not a 3 times and made a knot, that's called one chulya. That's actually the knot. That's the wraps with the knot in between. Te'ana, we learned in our Raisa, boiches, someone makes less. Lo yivchas mishav, you should not have less than 7 wrappings around. Hopefully these numbers sound familiar. When you make more, you should have more than 13. Sheva rikim, the 7 wrappings around. It's connected to the 7 heavens. And the 6 directions. So that's 7 and 13. Tana, says the Gemara, when you begin, you start with the right, white, takanav min kanaf. Mesayim belavan. Malam b'kodesh le meridin. Ravuna, Rav Chana, Havi Yasvi, Havi Kachol of Azol Ugar. There's a guy coming in front of them, the Michsi, Klima the Kule Techelta. There's a guy in front of them that the entire garment was made of Techeles, Ramule Techelta. And there was Techeles hanging from the garment of Tcheles. As we turn over to Lamatesimabis, Ukidila Migdil, and it was braided, nothing loose at all. As Rashi says, Kola Tzitzai Segedil, V'lo Shayir Bay, Anav Klal, nothing was left over, everything was wrapped around. Amar Rav, says Rav, Yoi, beautiful Galima, V'lo Yoi Tcheles. But the Tcheles is not beautiful. Why? What's the machlokes? If the Tcheles in these cases is going to be kosher, Rabbi Chana, Savar Ksiv Gedel, Ksiv Psil, or Gedel, Psil. Either one is going to be fine. V'Rav Savar, Loilam Sobanina, V'Ahi Gedilim Leminyana Udasa. They tell us just the number. Gedel Shnayim Gedilim Arba. I say Gedel Upasleo. Mitaycha. Make a braided area and let the loose ones come out of it. And this, of course, already is starting to represent what are actually tzitzis are. Amar Shmuel Mishmei de Levi. Continues the Gemara. Chutei tzemer, 10 lines down. Baitim b'shal pishtan. If a woolen threads, you could use them on a living garment. Ibailu asked the Gemara, shal pishtan ma'u shivtu b'shal tzemer. What about in the fakarta case? If I have a woolen garment, can I put on it linen threads? Semer b'shal pishtan u'depata. Maybe it only works one way. Why? The kiva the cheles patra lavan patra lavanami patra. Aval in the flip case pashta b'semer loy, or maybe odam kiva the chsev loy sovashan semer pishtan yachtov kedilin ta'asalacha loy shinat semer b'shlosh pishtan b'semer. Meaning, normally you can never have kilayim shanis. And there's a special dispensation from tzitzis. So maybe it goes carte blanche, and in all cases it's going to be allowed. So Tashema. Let's bring our ayah. Tashema, says the Gemara. Damra Chava. Amar Rav Yehuda. Chut eitzemer, poitim mishal pishtam, shapistam, poitim mishal tzemer. Chut eitzemer, pishtam, poitim b'chol makam. Feel b'shirayim. Upligid Rav Nachman, Adam Rav Nachman, Ashirayim. 2 minutes, so that's going to be the halacha. But Eisvei, Rav Rav Nachman. Frekt Rav Rav Nachman, Ashirayim, v'aklach basrikin. Kulan chayavim b'tzitzis. It's made of silk, all the types of silk, chayv and tzitzis. Responds the Gemara, Mayurdik Chiddush, only midrabanan. The chi of tzitzis is only going to be, in this case, a din derabanan. Iachi frakti mayim aseva klub sever bishta baitim behem. Iam bisham deraisa. I know the mishru kilayim. 1 second, frakti Gemara. If there's a chi of deraisa, I understand why you let have kilayim. Ella, based on what you just said, him derabanan echem mishtari bu kilayim. Says, you're right, there is no other kilayim. Why did Tani say Hein b'mina? Hey b'mina b'aitin shlo b'mina ain't b'aitin. So yeah, I'm b'shlama d'Rabbanan. That's all chivs d'Rabbanan. I know the mitzvah b'minan. So it makes sense that it's pater. Eliyahu d'Araisa Zemra b'shinu the pater. Semra the b'shinu the pater. Shall be Semra b'shin and all other types of garments. Says the Gemara, no raya. Imi shama, I reckon the Rava Rami. Ksiv aknam min kanaf. Ksiv Semra b'shin. Ha keitzad Semra b'shin b'aitim b'minim ein shloi b'minan. Shar b'minan b'aitim shloi b'minan ein b'aitim. So there's not going to be a kasha. There's not going to be a kasha. Question is, what is Rav Nachman hold? We'll stop over here. I'll pick it up from Rav Nachman in the next year. Psiyata dishmaya.